Hey guys, Elizabeth, the curly-haired country girl here. I can't wait to tell you about my weekend. Let's do this thing. I am in Knoxville for the 22nd annual Wise Traditions Conference. This is put on by the Weston A Foundation. It's something that I have talked about on my channel before and I want to talk even more about. I was here Thursday and all day yesterday and all day today. This is Saturday. Heading back home tomorrow. So this is what the Weston A Wise Tradition Conference looks like, or at least looked like for me. I was a volunteer, and so this weekend I was a room monitor. So that meant that I got to go to the talks, which was awesome, and I had to count people and give the speaker a heads up when their time was approaching the end, and so that they could have time for questions and answers and things like that. So I loved that. I got to meet some great friends who were also volunteers. Suffice it to say, I was so excited to be here, and I had one main question that I was asking people throughout the day. The question was, how can I be happy and healthy at 100? In other words, I want to live to be 100. I actually do. That's one of my life goals, if the Lord allows. And so how do I get there? And if I get there, I don't want to be miserable in a vegetative state. How can I be 100 and still vibrant? So that's the question I was asking some of our vendors, some of the speakers, some of my friends, and here's what some of them said.
I'm Sue. Well, if you get on the broad spectrum detox program with Wellsong Energetics, you will be able to get the toxins out of you. There are 12 categories of toxins that we test for, and then instead of just giving you a cookie cutter detox program, we actually put the detox that your body needs into a bottle of vibrational energy. We do not have supplements that you take. They are non-consumable. It's the only product on the market that is non-consumable. You carry it with you, and when you carry it with you, you detox. We've been doing this since 2016. We program exactly, specifically what your body wants, so it's all individualized instead of cookie cutter. You don't want a cookie cutter program. So when we carry this around or keep it within 100 feet of ourselves, we detox. Sometimes it takes a year to 3 years, but how long have you been getting the stuff in you that's been building up? So that's what we do here at Wellsong Energetics.
Okay, Sue, can you tell me how I can be happy and healthy at 100?
You want that off of me?
No, I want it straight.
You look fantastic.
I'm the producer, though. Right?
I love it.
I'm Bev. I think that health is wealth, and in order to feel good, I think you need to eat right, eat good fats, exercise, sit still. But I think overall, your thoughts and your emotions are really what steer us as humans. And they can be negative, they can be positive. And I notice personally that when I have negative thoughts, I feel pretty crappy, like I have low energy, I don't feel like doing anything, I eat wrong. When you can change your thoughts to something more positive, you feel more vibrant and healthy and well and energized and excited. I mean, that's my experience.
Can you tell me a little bit about Simply Ghee and why you think ghee is a product worth selling and how it's valuable?
Well, ghee is butter without any milk solids or moisture, and it's just cooked out.
So if you're lactose intolerant, you can eat it.
Right, but if you're not lactose intolerant, you can eat it. It's for everybody. And it really, the way to use it, people were saying, oh, it's just for like specific cuisines, like Middle Eastern and Indian and that sort of thing. One of the reasons we started it was I love to cook, but I hate a recipe. I just slap her together. And so knowing that ghee was healthy, it's good for digestion and everything, that why couldn't we use that in everyday meals? That's why we named it Simply Ghee. It aids in metabolism and digestion. We're told our ghee is the best on the planet. It's got a really nice brown, buttery, nutty flavor. It really also satiates you too, so you feel fuller quicker. You don't eat as much. It's a game changer, really.
Awesome. I wanted to mention that these folks here at Simply Ghee, they provided over 100 pounds of ghee. They donated it to the conference so that people could enjoy everything cooked in ghee, with ghee on the side. Very, very generous donation.
My name is Walker Holmes. To the best of my knowledge, I would imagine that you are what you eat. So if you eat good, healthy food from a clean place, know your farmer, know exactly where it's coming from, And of course, for my pastures, I'm going to push grass-fed, grass-finished. So if you eat junk your whole life, you'll probably feel like junk when you get close to 100 if you make it.
Okay, so far so good. I'm in my first session. I'm actually out at the table for Miss Betsy Thomason, and she is doing a talk right now on breathing, out breathing specifically. She has a method that she kind of came up with the name for called BODS, B-O-D, breathing out dynamics or something. So I'm filling out my room monitor sheet here and kind of fingering through the book as her talk comes to a close. So I just stepped out for a minute. Now I'm actually in Sally Fallon-Morell's talk on how to get creative with bone broth, and that has been really interesting too. She is the president of Weston A Price, and so it's a pleasure to be in class with her, in the session with her, and to be the room monitor, so I got to go up and meet her beforehand. But she's talking about the difference between stock and broth. So she's been talking about some of the essential amino acids that we have, not all of them, but some of them, and was making sure she needed some bone broth. I was making sure the person with the bone broth hadn't arrived. But anyway, so she's been talking about gelatin a little bit and the benefits of bone broth, which are extensive, helping growth and healing, bones, ligaments, skin, good digestion. It regulates your dopamine actually. And there's actually three kinds of collagen that helps different places. Your joints is one of them, your organs is one of them, and your arteries, because your arteries actually have collagen in them, and it benefits from more collagen. So she's been giving some ideas about recipes, roast chicken and chicken tortilla soup and things like that. So back into it. Sally, please tell me how I can be happy and healthy at 100.
Eat the way we're suggesting. You might not make it to 100 though. It's better to be happy and healthy till the day you die instead of being a vegetable at 100.
And that means high fat and lots of bone broth
Yes.
and lots of meat stock.
Raw milk and cod liver oil.
So much cod liver oil. Thank you, Sally. Off to lunch. Okay, so we just finished a very, very tasty lunch, and it's time for the first afternoon session. So I'm headed back to my lecture hall where I'll be doing the room monitoring again. I got to chat with Sally Fallon in the line up to lunch, which was great, and call Jared and say hi to the kids. Been learning a lot already and making some really fun connections, so here's to some more.
Yes, I have a YouTube channel for those of you who don't know. It's called The Fit Farmer, and on there we share our adventures on the homestead.
And I just got done listening to The Fit Farmer, which was so neat. I didn't even realize he was going to be here until looking in the program. But he was talking about how we can connect to our food for better health. So I got some notes here, but he just gave a lot of examples and feedback on why it's so important to be connected and how we're so disconnected from our food and from where our food comes from and even from each other. So he gave some ideas of how to kind of combat that, to take time to prepare your own food and your own meals, to buy local food so you actually know where it's coming from. Even some restaurants that say they have local food, maybe they bought from somebody local once or twice, but then they don't anymore and they still have the sign up, so it pays to ask. But also visiting a farm, getting your hands in the dirt, and then starting to grow some of your own food. Those are some of his ideas to be more connected with our food. So maybe I can have a chance to talk to him. Mike, how can I be happy and healthy at 100?
Let's see here. I would say the first thing would be is to live a life of purpose and of giving and service to others. Because if life is just about you, you're just not going to be happy that way. The best way to live is just focus on how you can give and be a benefit to others. That's just the way that life is supposed to be. The way of give is the only way to live.
I think if you live your life, just giving to other people and have an outflowing river of love, I guess, from yourself and being concerned with others, I think that really can, improve your health and, longevity.
Okay, so this is the beginning of day 2. Day 1 was absolutely phenomenal. After lunch, I was able to listen to a talk by Gilbert, and I hadn't heard of him before. I think he's pretty well known in his field. Super, super smart guy. He gave, a laundry list of credentials before his talk, and very, very intelligent man. And so his talk was called Waves of Health and Illness, the Deep Roots of Biological Life and EMF Protection. So I think his talk was awesome, and it's a lot to chew on. Something to the effect of waves, all radiation waves, all waves transfer from wave form to particle form, and so therefore you can treat illnesses or problems or inflammation in your body using wave technology as opposed to particle technology. Particles being a supplement or something like kind of in the physical world, I guess, versus some sort of radiation wave or frequency. So again, most of it went way over my head, but it was still pretty fascinating, a lot to chew on. And then he was touching on, he didn't talk too much about EMFs, but the idea of electromagnetic frequencies and cell phones and Wi-Fi and things like that. And that's something I need to learn more about because it's something I'm pretty unaware of at this point. So after that, we stood in line again for our next meal. The meals have been delicious and it's very satisfying. It's especially satisfying knowing that I'm eating grass-fed animal with liver in it and organ meats. And anyway, very, very good food. And so during dinner, I got to sit next to somebody. We had a lovely conversation. It's just been a really enriching time. So then at that point in the evening, there was even another class from 7:30 to 9 p.m. and I was feeling kind of worn out, so I went to the vendor hall again and met some more people. And then I went ahead and just poked my head into a couple of the sessions. One of the sessions was an Ask the Practitioners panel. And so I just went in there for a few minutes. People were asking them questions. And then the other session that was going on was with Tommy John. And the session title was really fascinating. It's called Human, Move. Older human, move more. Injured human, move most. And so I only caught a few minutes of his talk. My roommate later told me more about it, but it sounded like the gist of it was that we shouldn't expect our lives to decline over time. We can expect stability or even increasing mobility or health as we continue to move our bodies. And as we get older, the tendency is to not move as much. And so he gave some suggestions for very practical calisthenic movements, things that you do normally, like walking, except more, like training more for what you do normally. So doing lunges, but doing as many as you can until you fail, and then the next day trying to do more, just seeing how many you can do and increasing, or just holding one foot up for as long as you can until it fails, and then try the other foot, and then the next day do it again. So very interesting. So then I headed back to my hotel. Now, something that was very serendipitous that happened was yesterday morning at the start of the conference, I was headed towards the stoplight out there to cross the street and come to the conference. And I ran into this woman and I said, "Hey, how you doing? Hey, how's it going?" And I'm supposed to have a roommate at the Super 8 motel where I'm staying. And I said, "Yeah, I'm from Missouri." And she said, "Wait a second, is your name Elizabeth?" And I said, "Yes." And it turned out it was my roommate. So out of 1,200 people, I happened to run into my roommate at the stoplight crossing the street to where we're coming, which was so cool. So here we are at the beginning of day 2. I just had some breakfast back in the volunteer room, which was great. I didn't realize I could do that. And I'm going to be hanging out in Sally Fallon's room today as the room monitor again, as she talks about Nourishing Traditions diets, part 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it's going to be a full afternoon. Let's get going. Alex,
Yep.
Tell me, how can I be happy and healthy at 100?
I think that the biggest factor by far is being present in the present moment. So, in my opinion, the supplements, the diet, the lifestyle, all of that is secondary to you being present with life and present with yourself. What that typically requires is you understanding your own self very deeply, understanding the ways that you become unpresent, your patterns, your false belief systems, the things that you think negatively about yourself, which typically get in the way of you living a full life, being present and heart opened with the world. So if you want to be happy and healthy at 100, try to go deep into yourself, uncover those false belief systems, and be present as much as you can each and every moment.
So it's been a full day so far. I'm sitting by the window here. It's lovely outside in Knoxville today. This morning, first thing, I went to the Green Pastures sponsor talk, and afterwards I was able to talk to one of their reps. Cod liver oil, fermented cod liver oil, is actually something that our family takes, every one of us, every single day. So it was great talking to her and having that contribute to the conversation of how we can lead long, healthy lives.
My name is Kirsa. I would say if you live to be 100, you're doing good. You're probably inside a lot, and so you're not exposed to the sun very much, and so you're not getting very many vitamin D. And that's really important for your immune system and for your oral health, because of calcium, you need to have strong bones. I would highly recommend getting a good source of vitamin D, and vitamin A would also be good, especially for eyes. And cod liver oil happens to be the perfect blend of that. And ours is fermented, which actually means that we also, not only do we have the vitamin A and D in there, there's also microbial activity from the fermentation that actually adds nutrients in there. So the magic's in the microbes. I think that would be really beneficial for somebody who is 100 plus.
And then we had a break as usual, and from 9 to 11, actually from 9 until lunch, I was in 2 sessions with Dr. Tom Cowan. Now, I had never heard of him, never listened to any of his lectures. I guess he does a podcast with Weston A. Price, totally new to me, but he is well known in these circles. And his talk, I'm gonna need a long time to process it. But and I don't even know how much of it I can talk about here on YouTube because they're gonna take it down, but the idea of challenging what I thought to be a cell, what I thought to be a virus, and the very big implications that has in our current culture. His talk, it ended very powerfully. He had a song at the end, and well, you can see what happened.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
So after another delicious lunch, I stepped out here from the talk of another Sally Fallon talk. She is on part 3 of 4 of just the Nourishing Traditions diet. So she's been talking about all the benefits of saturated fat, yes, saturated fat, and butter, and she gave 6 suggestions for fats to eat. That would be butter, extra virgin olive oil, coconut oil, lard, cod liver oil, did I just say that? Butter, duck fat, and how we need those in high quantities, as well as high quality animal products, which is again why I'm wanting to do pasture raised pigs, chickens, rabbits, etc. She talked about egg yolks, and then she took quite a while to talk about raw milk and how it's perceived to be unhealthy and unsafe, but really that's quite the opposite, and about how the culture turned against raw milk and how it was all fabricated. It was based on untruth, and people think raw milk is not safe. Last year, I believe she said, there were, I'm going to get the numbers a little bit off, but a few people died because of cantaloupe, a few people died because of other produce, or I think a few people died because of oysters, these foodborne illnesses. 0 people died because of raw milk. There were 2 people in question. One of them was in a family. He didn't even drink raw milk, and the other one was just made up. So you just really have to be aware of where your information is coming from. So after this, there's going to be another break, and there's one last class of the day. And then this evening, there's going to be an awards banquet with a keynote speaker. So that'll be fun. So I'm back at the hotel. It was another very fun, full, awesome day. Weston A. Price Foundation staff and coordinators did such a great job getting everything planned. Just seeing all the work that went into it, I really appreciate all that they were doing. So I went in and I was helping with Sally's last 2 talks, which were awesome. She did a great job as usual. And then after that, I went back to the exhibition hall. So there were, I think they said, over 120 vendors who had, different health-related products or products to eliminate or block EMFs or help your body get back in line with the energy frequencies. There was a lot that went over my head. But a lot of tools that people could use to connect with their food in their local communities, or books, or there was a publisher, Steiner Books. They had a bunch of books about farming and kids. There was a homeopathy thing, which I got some papers for. I'm not totally sold on homeopathy yet, but I'm very open to it. And while I was there, I ran into, again, my friend Monica Corrado. I call her my friend. I may be using that term a little bit loosely, but I knew her back in Colorado, and she is actually a GAPS chef. And so GAPS is Gut and Psychology Syndrome, and at this conference was Natasha Campbell McBride, I think, and she wrote the book on GAPS, and GAPS is what our family used to help my son heal from his eczema. So it was really neat to bump into Natasha. I was able to thank her for her work, and then it was really fun to see Monica. Back in Colorado, I was attending the Weston A. Price chapter meetings. Monica came once, and we had a buffet type of a thing, and that was the first time I got to try beef tongue tacos, and I loved them. And I was able to chat with her, so here's what she said.
Well, first I want to let you know that I am the GAPS chef. So, Monica Corrado, I teach traditional food cooking. How can I be happy and healthy? Eat butter! Eat pastured eggs. Eat traditional foods. Yeah. Eat bone broth and meat stock, mostly meat stock. Traditional fats.
Aren't fats bad?
You know what fats are bad? Vegetable oils are bad. Plant fats are bad. What's really good for you are animal fats. Pastured butter, ghee, lard, tallow, all those really good fats that our ancestors ate and lived to be. Well, they didn't live to 100 because they had other problems, but you would if you ate that way. Did it start yet? So I should tell me when to start. I'm embarrassed.
What's your name?
No, I'm not ready. All right, give me 1 second.
And then to cap everything off, we got back in a very long food line. I was just about at the end, which was fine. But we had our awards banquet, and then there was one last keynote speaker. So this food, I wish I had saved one of the menus, but it was fantastic. They had this pasture-raised chicken and this really tasty beet appetizer. And then there was kombucha that you could have. There was a ginger kombucha with this beautiful little kick, and fermented carrots. And then for dessert, it was some sort of slightly cooked pear with this caramel sauce, and there were Brussels sprouts with carrots, and it was all so delicious. But there was one last keynote speaker, and they gave several awards for people in the foundation who are particularly active in their communities, and some of the staff members who have just kind of gone above and beyond their duties to help serve. So anyway, I'm back in my hotel. My roommate's not quite back yet, but I had a great time with her. You're the best. But wrapping up my time here, they have the conference tomorrow until 4, but I'm going to be heading out to get back home to Jared and the kids. I was able to talk to Jared on the phone a little bit earlier. I was going to say we chatted for 35 minutes. I chatted for 34 minutes, and Jared chatted for 1 minute. He was very gracious to listen to me as I was processing so much of what I learned today. A lot of new things, a lot of things that are like, really? I've never heard of that before. And I was able to go by the green pastures, and they had these really fun coloring pages. So that's Weston A. Price. And then we have the cod that makes the cod liver oils. Thanks so much for coming along as I came to Knoxville. I highly recommend it if you're able to go, if it's financially feasible, if you're a chapter leader, or maybe even not a chapter leader, it is possible to get a scholarship. That's how it's possible for me to come to this. There's a partial scholarship where you help volunteer, or there's a full scholarship and they pay for your entire admission plus the meals. So that's one thing to keep in mind if that's just something that you want to do, but it's just not financially feasible. That made this doable for me. Otherwise, I would not be here. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Jared. So, Jared, if you're watching this, thank you. I love you.
I'm making my way back to the car to head home. I've already filled up with gas. I just had some yummy breakfast. I realized that the breakfast was only supposed to be for staff. Somebody told me the volunteers could have it. Sorry, but they were very kind about it. Okay, so here I am back at my vehicle, about ready to head back home to my hubby and my babies. There was something so special and invigorating about being around so many like-minded people. Yes, of course, being around people who are different than me is essential, but it was just very life-giving not to have to explain what cod liver oil or beet kvass is, or the importance of pastured meats. So what a fun weekend. Thank you so much to the staff of Weston A. Price. Those I worked with directly, Darla, Paul, Kathy, Yolanda, Elizabeth. It was so great meeting you guys. Sally, so nice to meet you if you guys are watching this someday. But what a fun weekend, and I can't wait for the next one that I can go to, Lord willing. Bye.